Okay, this is part two, continuing with our flipped classroom. So we're on source number 5. We're in the middle. We had just talked about the fact that somebody that eats and isn't sure if they've said Birkat Hamazon in Yiddish, if they've benched, right? So that we're not sure. So we said no, sorry. We talked about they are sure that they forgot. So the whole question comes down to whether or not they still feel the effects of the meal. Are they still full? If you're still full, then you go back and you say Birkat Hamazon. You say Birkat Hamazon. If you've completely digested the food, you no longer feel the effects of the meal, then you do not go back and bench. You've lost out on your opportunity. Now, the Rambam goes on in source number 5 here, and he says, "V'chein im nela mimenu v'lo yada im berach or lo berach, chozer mevarach." Right? So now, if let's say I'm not sure, I don't know, we have a principle that whenever there's a doubt on a Torah level, right, of something that's a Torah obligation, benching Birkat Hamazon is a Torah obligation as opposed to the brachot that we make before we eat, which is a rabbinic obligation. So if we're not sure, then what we do is we always, out of doubt on a Torah obligation, we go back and do it again. So that's the question when it comes to benching. It's a Torah command. So if I'm not sure, then I go back and I bench again. Okay, that's I'm not sure, I bench, or it could be the first time I'm benching because I'm not sure. Right, but who the Rambam qualifies it? He says, but on one condition: who shall know this? That's only again if you're still feeling the effects of the food. But if you've completely digested the food, you're no longer full from the food, then you do not bench. Okay, that's the rule. Okay, if that wasn't clear, rewind, listen to it again. But now you should be answering question number 5. You can pause the video. Let's do source number 6. This is a halacha that maybe you're familiar with. Berach al hapas patar es haparperes she'ochlim behen hapas miminei atashu uperos v'chayotze behen. When you're eating bread, all you have to make is hamotzi. Let's say I have bread with a hamburger and a hot dog and chicken and potato salad and all these different side dishes, French fries and everything. As long as I'm having bread, all I do is I wash, I make hamotzi, and now I've completely fulfilled my obligation of making any other brachos. The hamotzi covers it all. Okay? Aval im berach al parperes lo pater sapas. But obviously I can't have a French fry and say now I don't have to make a hamotzi on the bread. Bread covers everything. Nothing covers bread. Okay, so I just make hamotzi. I don't have to make brachos. So in our cafeteria, if I go ahead and it's deli and meatball day and spaghetti, those are the good days, right? So if I have that and I have the deli thing, so if I make myself a deli sandwich, then I get online and I have my spaghetti and my meatballs. So I just simply go and wash, make hamotzi on my deli sandwich, and now I don't have to make a mizonos on my spaghetti, and I don't have to make a shahako on the meatballs or the glass of water that I'm about to drink. Okay. You should pause the video and answer question number 6. Going on to source number 7. Shlosha sh'achlu paske echad. Chayavim levarach berchas hazivun kodem berchas hamazon. We've been talking about the obligation after we eat of berchas hamazon, but there's something else. You might never have heard about it. It's called berchas hazimun. It's a totally different form of benching. What it is when 3 men over the age of 13, or I'm going to say something a little wild here, but it's the Vilna Gaon and Tosfos' opinion, 2 great scholars of ours. Well, even if there's 3 women and there's not 3 men, so then what they do is they get together and they do Berchos HaZimun, which is different than Berchos HaMazon, and that's where you might have seen it before, where somebody says, Rabbasai Nivarech, and everybody answers, Yishem Hashem Nivarach V'Olam Vad, and they go through a little addition to the benching at the beginning, a little introduction. That's called Berchos HaZimun. Okay, that ve'ezuhu, the Rambam says, berchas hazimun. Im hayu ochlim mishlosha adasar mevarach echad mehem. So one person leads the benching. Okay, if 3 people eat together, then one person's going to lead them in benching in Rabbasai Nivarech and this berchas hazimun. That's different than berchas hamazon, where everybody is just simply saying berchas hamazon to themselves. Berchas hazimun is where the 3 are doing it together. Okay. Pause here, answer question number 7. Let's go on to source number 8. Just like we know, you can't eat or drink and enjoy your food or your drink before you and without making a bracha beforehand. So too, certain smells you can't get benefit from if you haven't made a bracha. So that's why, if you remember, when we make Havdalah at the end of Shabbat, so before we say borei, before we smell the besamim, we make a borei minei besamim, because just like I can't get benefit from eating food and drink before I make a bracha, so too the same thing is true of a good smell. Okay, Go ahead, pause, and answer question number 7. Let's look now at source number 8. Right? That was source number 8. Let's look at source number 9 now. The Rambam says, Arba tzrichim l'holdos. This is interesting. There are 4 people that have to give thanks to Hashem. Now, we always give thanks to Hashem, but there's 4 people, when they go through 4 different situations, they really have to give thanks to Hashem in a special bracha. Who are those 4? Cholesh and Nisrape, somebody that had a serious illness and they got better. Chiva shiatza mibeis asurim, somebody that was in jail or kidnapped and they got out. Yordei hayam kishalu, somebody that goes on, let's say, a cruise or a ship, and they come out of the ship. V'hochei drachim kishiyu yushuv, and somebody, we generally say somebody that crosses a desert, right? They go through some sort of a trip that's a long and arduous, a difficult trip. So then they have to, when they get to the place where they've like a settlement, right? Some sort of a city or some place of residence. Then they have to thank Hashem. These are all dangers that they've gone through, that they've gotten out of. They have to not only thank, but they have to do it in front of 10 people. We're not so careful about this, but ideally 2 of them should be chachamim. Okay, the Rambam quotes a pasuk, right? That will thank Hashem throughout the nation, and in front of it will thank Hashem in a sitting of wise people. The Ketzah Moda, the Ketzah Mivarach. How are they supposed to say thanks, and how are they supposed to make a bracha? Omei B'neihem, they stand up in front of the 10. In order to make sure we have 10, we usually do this when we're reading from the Torah, because then in order to read from the Torah, you have to have 10. So they stand up and they make a bracha. What's the bracha that they say? Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam. Right, Hashem, you're the source of all blessing, the master, the God of the entire world. Hagomel l'chayavim tovos. Right? He brings on good things to all people. The Kol HaShomim, and all those 10 people and the 2 Chachamim amongst the 10 that are listening, they say, right? What do they say? Shigamach HaTov Hu Yigamach HaTov Sela. Right? That Hashem, right, should bring good to all of us. Okay. Pause. Answer question number 9. Let's look at source number 10 here. Kol HaMitzvot Shem Divrei Sofer. Okay, all brachos, all mitzvos that are rabbinic in nature. Certain mitzvos, the 613 mitzvos, we have from the Torah. Certain mitzvos, like Hanukkah and Purim, those the rabbis instituted. Okay, those are mitzvos, not that they are additional to the 613, but they're the laws that the rabbis said. Okay, so bein mitzvah shechova midivreim could go mikra megillah, v'adlakas ner b'Shabbos, v'adlakas ner Chanukah. So the Rambam gives 3 examples of rabbinic obligations that are mitzvos. Neros on Shabbos, the Shabbos candles are rabbinic. The Hanukkah candles are rabbinic, and reading the Megillah on Purim is rabbinic. Bein mitzvah she'ein chova. There's mitzvahs that are not obligatory for us to do, but if we want to do something, we have to go ahead and do them. He gives an example like Eruv and Etilas Yadayim, right? So I don't have to eat a sandwich, but if I eat a sandwich, I have to wash my hands, and washing my hands is a rabbinic obligation. Mevarach al hakol kodem l'asiyasan. Before, just like a regular Torah mitzvah, like blowing shofar or shaking my lulav, right? So just like there, before I do the mitzvah, I have to make a bracha. So too, when it comes to rabbinic laws, I also have to make a bracha. What do I say? Asher kedeshanu b'mitzvosah, right? That Hashem sanctified us and commanded us to do this mitzvah, right? Whatever mitzvah I'm about to say. Now hold on a second. Wait, who commanded us? The rabbis commanded us. So how do I say this about Hashem that He commanded us? And that's the Rambam's question. Where do we find that the Torah commanded us in this? Shekasav ba asher yomru l'chataset. The Torah never says to wash my hands. The Torah never says to light Hanukkah candles. The whole Hanukkah story happened thousands of years after the Torah was given, right? So what does the Rambam explain? Nimsa inyan hadvarim v'hatzan kach asher k'sham mitzvos shetziva behen l'shmoa me'elu shetzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Hanukkah. Hashem commanded us to listen to the rabbis who commanded us to light Hanukkah candles and to listen to the Megillah being read. Right? So therefore, when I say Asher Kedeshanu in this bracha that Hashem sanctified us and commanded us, it's not that Hashem directly commanded us to light Hanukkah candles, but Hashem commanded us to listen to those that did command us. Okay? Make sure you listen to that again in order to make it clear, and then go ahead and answer source number 10, and that's the end of our second flipped classroom. Have a great day.